I've known my wife for 15 years, and we've been married for 12. In all that time, I've only heard her say, "I'm sorry," 5 times when she's messed up. Out of those 5, one was because I explicitly asked her to say it. If I hadn't, it would have been just 4. I'm not asking for constant apologies, but I do want her to acknowledge and own her mistakes. We're human. We all mess up. When I make a mistake, I usually go to her and apologize because it's the right thing to do. I'm frustrated with her inability to take responsibility for her actions. For example, over a month ago, I asked her to stop using her phone after 9 p.m. so we could spend more time together. At first, she made an effort, but over time she slipped back into her old habits. Last night was a breaking point. She stayed in our daughter's room until our daughter fell asleep, from 8:45 p.m. to 10:15 p.m., scrolling on her phone. I eventually had to go in and ask her to come back to our room because I needed to get up early for work. When she finally came, she asked, "Are you mad?" I said, "Yes, I am. You're avoiding me, staying in our daughter's room with your phone, and I had to come get you. We can't keep doing this. You need to stop using your phone after 9 p.m. because you get so absorbed in it that you forget about us." She didn't apologize. She didn't even acknowledge what I said. She just stayed quiet, as if she didn't see anything wrong with her behavior. No, "I'm sorry," no, "I'll do better," nothing. This is just one example of many. Her lack of empathy and unwillingness to own up to her mistakes is taking a toll on me. I feel devalued, like my feelings don't matter. She doesn't show emotional care, and it hurts. Last night I couldn't sleep. I keep thinking about how in 15 years I've only heard her say, "I'm sorry," 5 times. That's not right. Nobody's perfect, and we all make mistakes, but it feels like she doesn't care enough to admit hers. I'm seriously considering throwing in the towel. I don't know what to think or do anymore.
All right, so welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And today we're going to be looking at a single source,
Okay.
and it's pretty powerful stuff.
All right.
These are personal notes written in Vietnamese and dated November 20th, 2024.
Wow. Okay.
And what makes these so interesting is that they're a chronicle of a marriage falling apart.
Oh,
But it's in this, like, really raw and personal way.
yeah.
You get the feeling that the writer never intended anyone else to see these.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's heavy stuff.
Yeah, and, this is the kind of stuff I think a lot of our listeners can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
It's a husband who is feeling unheard and increasingly resentful in his marriage of 12 years.
12 years.
Yeah, and he keeps coming back to this one issue.
What's that?
He says that his wife is just incapable of offering apologies or taking responsibility for her actions.
So he feels like she's not really owning up to her mistakes.
Exactly, and he even puts a number on it.
Oh,
5 apologies in 15 years.
wow. That's pretty striking.
It is. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you think, is this a personality thing? Is it cultural? Or is there something deeper going on?
It's a really good question. There are a few psychological theories that might be able to shed some light on this. For some people, apologizing can be really tough. Like, it triggers this feeling of vulnerability almost as if they're admitting defeat.
Yeah, I could see that.
It can bring up all these fears of rejection or feelings of inadequacy.
So it's not necessarily that they don't feel bad, but they just can't express it in a way that the other person can understand.
Yeah, exactly. And that can be a huge disconnect in a relationship, especially if one person needs that verbal validation.
And it seems like that need for validation is a big part of what's eating at this husband.
Mm-hmm.
He describes this one incident.
Okay.
And it really stuck with me, too.
Oh.
He says his wife was on her phone while their daughter was trying to go to sleep. And he's not just upset about the bedtime routine. He's upset because he feels ignored.
Yeah.
It's like he's trying to connect with her and she's just not there.
And that can be so hurtful. Yeah, I mean, that really speaks to this larger issue a lot of couples are facing today.
What's that?
Balancing technology with quality family time.
Right. It's so easy to get lost in your phone.
Exactly. And these little moments of disconnection can really build up over time and start to eat away at a relationship.
And in this case, it seems like it's really pushing this husband to the edge.
He's talking about feeling resentful, and he's even thinking about divorce.
It's sad.
Yeah, it is. And it really shows how important emotional validation is in a relationship.
So it's not just about saying sorry, but actually making the other person feel heard and understood.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about saying, I see you, I hear you, and what you're going through is important to me.
Now, we've been talking about this from a pretty general perspective.
Yeah.
But we do have to remember, these notes were written in Vietnamese,
Right.
and I don't want to make any sweeping generalizations.
Of course.
But cultural norms surrounding apologies and showing emotions, they can definitely vary from place to place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In some cultures, direct apologies might not be as common, and people might show their vulnerability in different ways.
So this really complex mix of personalities, relationship dynamics, and cultural influences that are all shaping this man's experience.
Mm-hmm.
And his notes really highlight how important communication is.
It's so true.
It's so easy for misunderstandings and unmet needs to just tear people apart.
You know what I think is so fascinating about this is there are no easy answers.
Yeah.
We're left with this very complex look at human interaction and the struggle to balance individual needs with shared responsibility.
It really makes you think, what if you were the marriage counselor working with this couple? What advice would you give them? How would you help them bridge this gap and start to rebuild trust? It's clearly a tough situation,
It is.
but it just shows how much we all crave connection and understanding, even when we're struggling. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.